College football continues in the Big Ten. We got a big conference showdown between number 21 Michigan making the trip to Nebraska for our CBS Sports Big Time Game of the Week. This is the 11th meeting between these two in a series where really the Wolverines have dominated the last four. The Cornhuskers, meanwhile, hoping to pick up their first win against Michigan since 2013. So let's dive into the matchup with one of the voices in the booth, our very own Gary Danielson joining us. Gary, we appreciate the time as this one gets underway 3:30 Eastern on CBS. I want to start with the Road Warriors in Michigan, particularly their quarterback and Bryce Underwood. It certainly seems like he's finding his footing, but Nebraska going to be a little bit more of a challenge than what Central Michigan was. What are the tests that we expect Bryce Underwood to see?
Wow. Yeah, great question. Bryce is obviously the potential just kind of jumps off the tape when you watch him play, especially, against Central Michigan, just something that he could be a little more himself, playing at home, feeling good about it, versus Oklahoma, when that offensive line for Michigan didn't handle that Oklahoma defensive line as well. Here's what I see. I see a guy that wants to be a pocket passer. He wants to be a pro quarterback. He wants to kind of follow in the footsteps of maybe some of those great quarterbacks that throw first and run second. He reminds me a little bit of Justin Herbert as a young football player. Stand in that pocket, make every throw, but if he has to run, he will. This is not like a Vince Young guy where they're going to design a lot of runs. In fact, as well as he ran the ball against Central Michigan last week, only one of those runs were designed. The rest were coming off the pass. And I think that's what we'll see more of against this good Nebraska defense.
It's fun to see the freshmen sort of stepping into the role that we all expected them to have, because we've seen a lot of different performances as the year has gone on. Of course, Biff Poggi is stealing the spotlight once again here, Gary, taking over for Sharon Moore as he serves the second of that 2-game suspension. We kind of joked a little bit about how he got the nickname, but in all reality, kind of a similar question in terms of the interim coach. How is Biff's role going to be different this week?
I think just because of the enormity of the football game, he's going to get interviewed. He's going to be on TV. He's just it's going to feel different for him. And he has the shoes to fill for Michigan. I mean, this is a game that Michigan fans are looking at and saying, if we get this one, we got a lot better last year as the season wore on. It was a different Michigan team the last 4 games than it was the first part of last year's season. So I think he feels a sense of responsibility. But the name might be fun and he's a good interview and everything, but he's all football. His job for Jim Harbaugh and Sharon was to sit back and observe, watch what's going on, talk to the coach, be that guy that he can kind of sit down with, take his shoes off after practice and say, I've been watching the guys, their legs are tired, or we're not being physical enough in practice and doing this. But now he has to make the key decisions. And talking to us, he said, I'm going to lean on my guys. I'm going to love them up. I'm going to be positive. But we are going to let it ride a little bit more this week. We're going to take some chances. And I think you're going to see a guy that's going to enjoy this weekend at Nebraska.
He said he got the nickname, Gary, because his mom gave his brother, who is 11 years older than him, the opportunity to name him as a child. His brother chose Spike. Mom and dad said no, so they stuck with Biff. I don't know which one is funnier there, but
it's pretty good. It's kind of like my family. I am Gary Dennis, and I think I got a hand in it, and they wanted to know, what are we going to name my brother? And I go, let's name him Dennis Gary. And
there
they did.
Go.
Come on. That's pretty funny.
There we go. Getting in on the nickname conversation there. We love it. I wonder what nickname, I think Patrick Mahomes, actually kind of baby Patrick, if you will, has been the nickname for Dylan Raiola in the other side of this matchup. If we keep the nicknames going here. Regardless of what you call him, Gary, he has certainly been efficient. He's 7-2 at home. He's completed 77% of his passes this season. So what are the expectations for him, and how can that translate to confidence in this Big Ten matchup?
Well, it better be more of the same, because that's really what Dana Holgorsen has added to this outfit for Nebraska. He was going all the way back, and I followed Dana forever in his stops at Houston and West Virginia, and I was offensive coordinator around the country. A Case Keenum flourished under him, throwing over 70%. Graham Harrell broke the record for completions. And that's really what this offense is all about. You must throw 65 to 70%. I know it's unheard of for a lot of guys, but to make it go, you have to take the cheapies. You have to do the little things in the passing game. And I think, when you look at Dylan, how he's growing, I think it's natural. He's learning how to be more comfortable, depend on his arm. He doesn't have to show it off with every throw. He takes what's there and he grows with the offense. And sooner or later, that big play will be there. I'm seeing a different guy this year than he was a year ago when he was pretending, maybe half pretending, to be Mahomes out there.
Now he's got the run-in, like the same shoulder mechanisms, all the thing. It's looking kind of like a mirror almost there.
But remember, Patrick, he would take the tight end when it was there, and that's what he needs to keep doing is take the easy throw. The big ones, the highlight throws, will come in the play of the game.
It is hard to not take the advice from one of the greatest quarterbacks that this game has seen to this point. I want to go back to Michigan for a second here, Gary, because we know they enter this matchup in the top 25. It is important because, as we know, the Huskers have struggled against the AP. They are on a 27-game losing streak when it comes to beating those top 25 teams. Their last win came against Oregon. So when something like that has hung over your head for as long as it has, how do the Cornhuskers kind of push this to the side and focus on the matchup at hand?
Well, I think you hit right on it, basically. That monkey stays on your back. I was a player and a part of losing streaks or a couple games where you throw too many interceptions and you hear what's being said. So there definitely is a step that they have to take and beat one of these teams. And, Michigan ranked 21. I mean, this is not the best Michigan team. They're growing. They could be better at the end of the year. It's a game that Nebraska should be able to compete at the high end. I think they have to look back to how close they came against good football teams. Against Ohio State a year ago, playing in games against Illinois. It turned out to be a good team last year. That they're right there. And I think Matt Rule has his team just where he wants them. I think saw that tongue lashing he gave his football team, that every game, every play, every half, every series counts for something down the road. What we're doing in the second half of a blowout and playing our fundamentals will help us when we need it. Really curious, really excited about doing this football game. Two big names. It's where I started my career, doing a Nebraska game against Baylor, 36 years ago. It's good to be back, so I'm really looking forward to getting back to Lincoln.
What a full circle moment for you. That one getting underway at 3:30 Eastern on CBS. Before we let you go, though, Gary, I do want to ask you about a game coming on later in the day. Ranked matchup between number 9 Illinois taking on number 19. I believe that game is Indiana. Regardless, What's got your attention in that matchup?
I think two coaches, and Kurt Cignetti and Brett Bielema, that build their programs on fundamentals, okay? And I think the key to this football game, and what stood out to me when IU struggled against, Notre Dame and Ohio State, those two losses they took last year, is they were not able to run the ball between the tackles on early downs. And by the way, that's been a little problem for this Illini defense early in the season. I think whoever handles that matchup, IU running the football, can win this football game, but a really good, tough football game for two teams that are headed in the right direction, and great for the Big Ten to see these two teams where they are right now.
Great to see ranked action in the Big Ten, but we're even more excited to see you on CBS. Gary, we appreciate the time and enjoy the call.
Yeah, and by the way, you stumbled on my nickname the whole time I played, so you got it right. Danny was my nickname.
There we go. You mixed me up there when we talked about it. Gary, Danny, whoever you are, have a good call this weekend on CBS. Michigan taking on Nebraska this week, 3:30 Eastern. Those two young quarterbacks going head-to-head, just the 11th meeting between the two. Remember, the Wolverines are without Sharon Moore, so it'll be the Biff Poggi show once again.